do an exercise on that. But does anyone have any questions at this point? How does that sound to people? Am I crazy?
There's the
Am I off the
possibility.
wall?
We're still waiting.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, what kind of artist are you? You said you're an artist, but you can say
Yeah.
what medium, what?
Painterly artist.
Okay.
Painterly artist. I've got a few things to show you as well, but after we do the exercises. So for me, the other thing as well is my connection with spirit. Ever since I was very young, I would actually witness things which weren't clearly physical. And it wasn't like I was trying to initiate these encounters or to actually see things. It's more a case of, I was speaking to Dirk last week, that it's more like they wanted me to see or understand certain things. And these encounters actually are not necessarily nebulous. They're very often purpose-driven. There is a purpose or a reason behind that as to why that actually happens. And in the last, say, 15 years or so, I've just gotten involved in terms of like trying to use this awareness and understanding in a way in which I can actually share and provide information and actually help and support other people. So I do healing, I'm involved with running organizations, spiritualist churches, which actually deal with this kind of information. But also as well, I started to, because I was interested in photography and art, I first started to draw and illustrate them. And then I started to, there's a phenomenon called orb phenomenon. I don't know if you've ever come across that, which is where people take photographs and there's strange artifacts that appear in all kinds of conditions. Usually they're just very simple geometric style shapes. And in the church that I actually helped to run about 10-15 years ago, people started to actually talk about these photographs and actually capture them on their cameras, and they would actually capture things at events that we were basically holding. So I thought, okay, what are they? So I started to actually take photographs myself. Where I live is a tower block, and I've got a very nice view. I'm very high up on the 17th floor, and I was just taking photographs of the sunset because we get the west view, and over the passage of the year the sun's setting is always different. So I was really taking the photographs for that reason. Then these artifacts started to appear just there. So I thought, okay, I started to show other people in the church that I'm involved with, asking them, what do you think it could be? And I've got so many different answers, you know. It's one of the things that I like about those kind of spaces, which is whereby it's about free thoughts, you know, and you have different people with different outlooks. Some who believe in reincarnation, some who don't. And I just got everything from discarnate souls, aliens, angels, this, that, and the other. And what I discovered was, I thought, okay, it could be all of that. Let me ask what's out there, what they are. And as soon as I started to think about it differently and ask the question, what was actually recorded started to change. I've got some examples here, so I can show you that later on. And I realized that they were answering my question, but in order to actually understand that, I had to go through a paradigm shift, which is I was just seeing these as geometric shapes, usually circular, with complex patterns within them, looking a bit like mandalas. But as soon as I asked, can you tell me what you are? There was a development, there was a change. And then it went on. And then I realized that I'd actually read about what was actually in front of me. And they were, in fact, mainly what I would describe as forms of angels, or divas, angels of nature. And diva is just a term which means shining one. Elf means shining one. These terms just, many of the terms even in the Bible for various different kinds of angels are really just describing what they do and their stations and certain aspects of their characteristics. So I realized what was being communicated with me, and since then it's just been getting stronger and stronger. It's kind of like the more you're aware of something, the more things can develop and move on. But I had to go through several paradigm shifts before I got to where it's currently at. But yes, so that's the kind of artist that I am. Strange artist, but there you go. But I've got a couple of examples there, but also I'm a commercial artist as well. So I do book illustrations. The latest project that I've worked on is actually a calendar for, it's a Saturday school called the Croydon Supplementary Education Project. And the whole idea was to actually produce materials for them which could actually help to generate funds. And so we've come up with a scheme where we're calling it inspirational icons. And it's based on like historical and famous black figures who they actually use for each particular classroom. So each classroom is named after a famous black person, usually from the UK, like someone like Samuel Coleridge Taylor, who's a native son of Croydon. One classroom's named after him. We've got one named after Elijah McCoy, Granville. Let me see who else we've got. We've got Benjamin Zephaniah, Maya Angelou, and a couple of other people as well. So the idea was to actually produce plaques, new plaques, sort of like illustrating them and having a bio, and then using that for a calendar as well. And then we're going to be doing other things. So we've done that. So I'm a commercial artist in that way as well. So I do regular stuff, as well as a strange stuff, angels and so forth. But I have a few examples in my bag, so I can show you that in a second. One of the things about working with your intuition and connecting with your higher self and using your imagination is that it's applicable to so many different issues which we face as people commonly. One of the things that the other thing that I'm involved with is finance as well. And one of the things that Willen wanted me to talk about was how you can use this to help improve your financial psychology. You might find this really strange, but I think I've mentioned to a couple of people here, but I actually do trading for a group which myself and Willen are involved with. We've basically come together and we've pooled our resources, and the whole idea is to build long-term and sustainable wealth. And we're using various different tools to do that. We're investing, and I was really interested in learning to trade. I think one of the ways of creating a sustainable financial base is skills based, to have skills. So I've trained up in certain different trading strategies, and that world, to be honest with you, it's really strange, because speaking to people, the people who are my mentors are people who've made millions of pounds, and that's what I hope to achieve. But hearing their perspectives, it's really interesting that at certain levels, you wouldn't think that disciplines like that, which are how can I put this, as materialistic as that, can actually have a basis, or many of these people who are involved with that kind of world can have a basis which is so ethereal, and which actually utilizes things like astrology. You would be amazed at some of the people who've been very successful, who are utilizing as their foundation all of these, you could say, soft concepts or soft skills, and been very successful at it. I remember, has anyone read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich?
I've got it, but I've never read it.
Okay.
I've listened to it.
Yeah, you know, this is a guy who's a bestseller I can't remember when he wrote it, probably in the 1940s he wrote this book, giving people advice as to how to improve their lots in life, materially, to get better jobs, to be financially successful. And you go through the book. I've actually got this on my phone. Let me see if I can bring up some of the chapters.
Sure, can I just say something?
Yeah.
When I spoke to George, what it was is that I've noticed that how we value ourselves as individuals and how do we see ourselves are often two different stages. So I was going to, for example, if there's £100, how much do you value yourself as? You may say 10, 30 pounds, 60 pounds. But if you're doing a job that's so good, how can you ask for a pay rise? Do you value yourself more than how you're getting paid? And how do you do that leap? In a mental leap, but also making people acknowledge your value, your worth. Whether you're a singer, dancer, carpenter, whatever, how do you value yourself? How do you say, okay, boss, I want a pay rise because I deserve it? And I think many of us have this problem with doing that because we keep ourselves at the same level, but I've noticed other people able to do that leap quite easily. And that's where I was having this discussion with George about, because I've noticed that's quite common amongst my friends group. They're worth more than they're selling themselves at. And how do you make that leap? That mental leap as well. And often sometimes when you, for me, for example, my trade, I go and talk to people and I would talk about everything else apart from the money. The money is the last issue you talk about, which should be the first thing you talk about, because then you stop wasting your time, especially if you already know